I'm going to show you how an average player like me can secure a dub. Nothing special. No insane mechanics. No miracle plays. Just basic decision-making and knowing when to stop doing something stupid. Watch this, lads. It's about to get good. First, we pick a decent landing spot like this. You don't need the most contested location on the map every game. Get some levels, get your cards, and stop pretending you're going to win a fight at level 1 because you watched a pro player do it once. Once you have decent levels, it's rational to start fighting. In this case, my target is this Tech Shigaraki. Most Tech Shigarakis are running the Immortal build. That means if you let them sit around, collect levels, and reach their maximum potential, you're going to have a much bigger problem later. So, we take them out early. Simple. As you can see, for the majority of the beginning of the match, I'm on that. I'm constantly looking for an opening because leaving a Tech Shigaraki alive until end zone isn't exactly what I'd call a good plan. That beta has AoE, a lot of it. And if he gets comfortable in the final zone, he can knock people around while everyone else is trying to survive. I'd rather deal with him now than deal with that later. As you can see, I prioritize the jump alpha when starting a fight. For me, it's a reliable damage dealer, and more importantly, it can set the tone for the fight. I'm not an Aizawa expert. I'm just an average player trying to make reasonable decisions. For someone like me, the simple jump alpha or an alpha pull into gamma and then a quick alpha are pretty reliable ways to start an engagement. Nothing complicated. You don't need to invent a new combo every time you see someone. Sometimes the obvious option works. The air alpha is also useful for closing distance. If someone's trying to run, reposition, or create space, I can use it to get closer without wasting unnecessary resources. Again, basic stuff. Our next target is this all for one. End zone gamma beta spam needs to go. I'm not interested in finding out how much damage he can do when everyone is trapped in a tiny circle. So we deal with him while we have the opportunity. After reviving the Ibarra here, I noticed that Hawks just eliminated someone. And that's when my loot goblin senses began to tingle. I had to get in on that. Sometimes you have to know when to be reasonable. This was not one of those times. Boom! Air Alpha secures the down. And remember, save the betas for movement. I played this one a little risky because I wanted the loot, but you get the idea. Once the elimination and level up cards are secured, we retreat and heal. That's an important part of playing Aizawa, knowing when to leave. You don't get extra points for standing in the middle of 5 different AoE attacks and pretending you're invincible. Here, if I would have stayed, the support could have thrown his beta, the Assault Shigaraki could have thrown his betas, and the Tech Shigaraki still had his slam. That's too many area attacks for my liking. So I retreat. Find a new target. The first alpha was a rational input meant to scare the enemy and force them to react. Sometimes you don't need to commit to the entire fight, you just need to make the other player think you're about to. While I'm in the air, I notice someone using a healing card. Typically, someone uses a healing card when they're pretty low. So naturally, I risk it for the biscuit, secure the down. But I'm not safe. That's the important part. Getting the down doesn't mean the fight is over. I reposition in the air to make sure I can see where everyone is before going back in to secure the elimination. You need information. If you don't know where the other players are, you're basically volunteering to get jumped. And I don't recommend volunteering. While trying to find a place to heal, I get hit with Stars and Stripes beta. No bueno. So I immediately alpha into gamma to prevent myself from getting grabbed by stars. Then I just hold gamma. Luckily, I down Nagant. I come back with a quick alpha to make sure she gets thrown out, and then I take a second to heal. Now comes the hard part, finding somewhere safe to revive the teammate. Not exactly the easiest thing to do when everyone wants to kill you, but I manage to bring him back. Once that's done, back to fighting. My main target is still Stars and Stripes. Why? Because those grabs are annoying, very annoying. So I continue targeting Stars for a while, trying to pressure her and prevent her from comfortably setting up. Eventually, though, I pull back to deal some damage to Twice and heal myself. Again, don't stay in a fight just because you've already started it. I notice this Monoma, and I know he sees me too. So I gamma before he touches the ground to make sure he doesn't get a free hit on me. And that's when I notice a Twice hiding. So Naturally, I get my happy ass in there and hit him with a quick combo. Then I leave, because I know exactly what he's going to try next. He's going to use his beta. And look at that. He did. I end up losing twice, but I follow Monoma down into the underground portion. I do a simple combo, but once I see the Tech Bakugo betas, I back up. Too much close quarter pressure for me. If I stay there, I'm going to take unnecessary damage for basically no reason. So I leave, find another target, and, of course, I find stars and stripes again. Because apparently we're doing this all game. I use my air alpha to start the fight. Then I aim my alpha slightly in front of where she's going to be. When she beats me, I hold my gamma because I already know what she's going to try. She's going for the grab. And look at that. She did. You need to try and predict the enemy on some nonchalant stuff. Fumble this fight with Monoma pretty badly. And that's when I realize I'm not at full health. His betas can potentially knock me out if I'm not careful. So, once again, I reposition. I heal. And then, I see Monoma pull to Steve and died to zone. So, problem solved. Finally, we have twice. Luckily, my team is already fighting him from one side. I come in from behind and we get him trapped. I provide some support. My team does their part. And bam. There you have it. A very rational win. No insane movement, no flawless mechanics, no 10-minute montage-worthy combo. Just target priority, positioning, knowing when to engage, knowing when to disengage, and occasionally remembering that your teammates exist. That's really what it comes down to. You don't have to be the best player in the lobby. You just have to make fewer bad decisions than everyone else. So, if you're an average player like me, don't overcomplicate it. Pick your targets, watch their cooldowns, pay attention to their positioning. Don't stand in every AoE attack you see. And most importantly, know when to back up. Because sometimes the smartest play you can make is realizing the fight isn't worth taking. Anyway, that's the game. A very rational win. You're welcome.